Hi, I'm Philip Baldwin, and I'm doing a persuasive speech on Let's Keep Our Guns. And one of the biggest topics that we're having now in the U.S. is gun control, and I want to persuade you to go anti-gun control with me. As Michael Steele says, you can have all the gun control laws in the country, but if you don't enforce them, people are going to find other ways to protect themselves. This goes farther into saying that you can enforce the laws as much as you want, but people are still going to have guns, and gangsters, and like for instance in Texas there's Tango Blast and they still have their weapons. So unless if we can actually seize all gun control across the US, then it won't make any point. Even I'll later go on to this into the prohibition and how that affected us. What does the Second Amendment mean? Well, is a well-regulated militia being necessary to security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Basically, to explain this, back in those times, which is a picture of the American Revolution, they had to fight Britain, and whenever they came over, they didn't have anything besides the honey muskets that were in their house, and they had to protect their families. So they had to form a group of people within their community just to protect them from getting killed. Another thing is they're stopping basically tyrants. We have this also just in case if we ever run into problems with other countries invading, we'll be able to protect ourselves and our land if the military does not respond, or if we need to protect ourselves from our actual own government itself. Like I'm including the United States. Even though we think that we live in a perfect nation, there's a possibility that our government could get overpowered and become a dictatorship, and then we'd have to overthrow the government, which the Founding Fathers actually gave us that permission to do with the right to bear arms. Now, I know a lot of people think, okay, there's other countries that do this, and stricter gun laws would definitely work in, let's say, the UK. They honestly outlawed handguns, but there are some other guns that are allowed. And Mexico, they did outlaw guns, but they have a cartel problem, as you can see. And then, the prohibition, I'm going back into that. Whenever they took away alcohol, gangbangers and bootleggers would go out, and they'd still be able to have access to weapons, and they would go run banks, rob banks, and take care of many other problems, and keep on causing problems in Chicago and other areas because nothing could stop them because they had the weapons. If you look at this is the homicide rate for Britain versus the amount of people that they have. You can see that even though they put a ban law in 1997, the homicide rate still went up, but it only decreased whenever they increased the police force. And then, sadly, we have the problem with, nowadays, we have mass shootings. Most likely, in like Las Vegas, was a really big problem with bump stock, which they actually just made regulations to make it illegal, and which is a very good thing because it turned automatic weapons into assault. And then Florida, the massive protests would actually lead further on debates on how the big problems that we're having. But I will go ahead and state that a lot of those situations, for instance in Santa Fe, like a lot of kids were able to get access to those guns on their own terms. And if anything, a lot of even in Santa Fe, even though it happened 2 months ago, we now have parents that are starting to get involved with the school activities, and they need to make more programs to get the kids to feel motivated to be in school and love, living on life, and so on and so forth. In conclusion, it is our constitutional right to bear arms and have our own guns in our households. It is a protection for ourselves and for our families. If someone breaks into your house, cops may take 5 minutes to get to your house. It's the only thing stopping you or holding down the fort that you have. It still needs updating. As you can see, we got rid of the bump stock because that was actually a really big problem that landed into Las Vegas. And then, if anything, we really need to push background checks because that's another problem that we're always having and not checking up on people. This is my works cited, and have a good day.